Koppel, host of the Time for Coffee podcast, where you get firsthand career advice into the jobs and industries that interest you the most. And before we start today's show, I have a quick favor to ask you. If you haven't already, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd give us a rating and a review on iTunes. And if you're like me, you need to do it now because you'll forget later and because it's the best way to help others who may be in search of career advice to find this free resource. So press pause if you haven't done it and do it right now. I'll wait. Thanks so much and enjoy today's show. Hey there, Java Junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career triple shot K-Cup with my guest, Jordan Hallow. So Jordan, your title is Director of Selection and Recruitment at Northwestern Mutual in Crown Point. Mm-hmm. I looked it up before we started this interview. Northwestern Mutual is the marketing name for the Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company and its subsidiaries. Is that right?
Yeah, we mostly life insurance, and we also do investments as well. We just started doing that in the late 2000s, so it's pretty new to the practice.
Got it. What does that title mean? And what do you do in this role?
It means so much. It means I wear a lot of hats. Basically, I am part of a district of Northwestern Mutual. We then report to a larger office. So for us, it's Indianapolis. It's in our bigger cities in the country. And then that office then reports to our corporate office based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For me, there are 9 different districts in our state. And there are multiple offices that comprise those districts. So for me, what I do is I handle and oversee all the recruiting processes for candidates moving through the financial advising pipeline. I also source. So I find those candidates that may not be actively looking, maybe they are, but through different job sites. Of course, LinkedIn is a huge asset to what I do on the daily basis, pretty much meeting with candidates, having that initial conversation with them, and then really just kind of moving them through the process. And then they meet with my managing director, who's kind of the hiring manager. And then we kind of just keep navigating and going through, and then also a little bit of onboarding as well. So how do we get them started? What's the right tools, and how can we best coach them? How can we best support them? So that on bare bones is really what I do pretty much every single day. All of the selection, finding the right candidates, and then navigating them through the recruitment process.
So what is a financial advising role at Northwestern Mutual? What does that type of position do?
Great question. It is basically a financial advisor meets with somebody to really highlight and identify some personal goals that they have financially, then puts together a plan for them that basically says, hey, you know what? You told me all these things were really important to you. Here's a plan on how we can get that accomplished. And it's so rewarding because everybody is going to come in with different financial goals. Everybody's going to come in at different stages in their life, whether they're married or not, or have kids. Maybe they're looking at retirement. So maybe they're part of the younger generation or older generation. Everybody has different goals financially, and they also have different financial needs. But at the end of the day, the world that we live in, whether we like it or not, revolves around money. We've got to have money to have a roof over our heads, provide for our kids. Yeah. And so it's really an awesome opportunity because you just get to learn so much about people. Also, it takes a certain amount of trust and relatability so that people can open up to you and talk to you about their finances, because we don't go around telling people how much money we make. We don't go around telling people how much we have in our checkings or savings accounts. It takes a special kind of relationship to make that happen. And that's what a financial advisor does. Financial advisor breaks down those walls and those barriers by being relatable and approachable, and then saying, hey, you know what? I meet with a lot of people that are just like you, that are trying to put together a financial plan. Let me show you what I've done for others, and let me show you what I can do for you.
That sounds like a fairly senior type of position. Is this for a new grad? How many years experience does the typical financial advisor have?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I would say it's going to vary. It's not really a senior level position. I will say that every financial advisor, especially here at Northwestern Mutual, we view it as owning our own business. Every financial advisor has their own clients. They belong to them. They don't belong to anybody else. Very much viewing it as a business owner, just using different products that come through Northwestern Mutual. You know, when you think of like Olive Garden or those different franchised restaurants, they all have somebody that runs that building, but they're still under that Olive Garden or wherever. Very similar here. Not really much in terms of like a senior role or anything like that. We've hired people that have come straight out of college. We've hired people that have had 10, 20 years of experience in different careers. And another reason why I love financial advising is because we specialize in hiring career changers. So having previous experience in being a financial advisor is not really necessary. We don't actually look for that. We look for different qualities that we think would make somebody a good financial advisor. So career changers are something that we specialize in. And I've hired former pastors. I've hired project engineers. I hired somebody who was in hospitality. Hired somebody who was an athletic director for a middle school. I've hired a teacher. I've hired somebody who was working for her husband's company as a PRN. All walks of life, really. So, and that's such a cool part of the career.
What I love about that, Jordan, is that I think that is yet another quintessential example of how your major doesn't matter and how the skills that you've acquired inside the classroom, outside the classroom are transferable into all different kinds of roles and all different kinds of industries.
Without a doubt. You and I have had so many conversations about this. Like I was a history major. I wanted to be a history teacher. I'm about as far removed from that as I possibly can be. You know, I see a lot of people out here who are very similar to me, don't have that, that straight line path in their career. It's very much filled with the curly cues or whatever it is. And it's not very linear. I love that.
In fact, did you know anything about insurance or financial advising before you started in this role in July 2021?
Not a thing. I had somebody come to my house after I got married, sat down and talked to my wife and I about life insurance because my parents always said, you need life insurance for your family to help you along in life. So I did and sat down and talked to us. And Andrea, I can't even remember anything from that conversation other than I got life insurance. I didn't understand anything whatsoever. I ended up getting a financial advisor here who did explain all that stuff to me. But prior to starting here, no knowledge about that stuff whatsoever.
And clearly it didn't matter. How did you get up to speed then on what you needed to do your job well?
I met with a lot of people. I knew I wanted to be in the recruiting space pretty much right when the pandemic hit. I started posting every single day on LinkedIn. I kept that up for about a year and a half. I met some incredible people while was doing that along the way. People who were, quite frankly, were doing what I wanted to do. And I met with them. I learned about what recruiting looks like, kind of how to put myself out there, how to put my brand out there. And then here, actually, one of my good friends is a financial advisor here. So I was a referral in. He said, hey, you know what? If you've got interest, I'm not really sure where your career path is right now, but I'd love to have you talk with our managing director and kind of see where it goes. And I said, yeah, of course. Like I'm never going to turn down that opportunity or that conversation. You never know what's out there. And lo and behold, I fell in love with the culture, the people that are here. So I've just been really gravitating towards it ever since.
So you pretty much learned it on the job.
I learned it on the job. Yep.
So I know you said every day is kind of the same, but would you take us into a typical day for you, Jordan?
We're very fortunate in that our company is AAA rated. The only other company out there right now that has that same rating is Microsoft. We're a very selective company because we have a really good track record and we're doing a lot of great things as a company. We've had 3 consecutive record-breaking years for a company that's 165 years old. Because of that, a lot of people know Northwestern Mutual and they know the name. They're interested in learning more about it. And because we get career changers and people that don't have the background that one might think in going to a role like this, you get to meet with a lot of people. So I do a lot of discovery calls and say, hey, you know what, here's a little bit about the career, but I want to learn more about you. I want to learn more about what in a career would make you happy. wonder what about financial advising makes you happy. Really just having those introductory discovery calls, doing some networking with people that I know to say, hey, you know what, these are the kind of candidates that I'm looking for. Who are some people that you know that might be interested in learning more about this opportunity? So I do a couple of those a week as well. And then as they continue on in the process and we go more in depth, I do all of that too. For our internship, I handle all of the initial sourcing and the interviews for that as well. So that's pretty much a day in the life. Lots of talking with people. I get to learn about everybody, comes from all walks of life. I love that. I can never get tired of talking to people. We usually try to have about 4 or 5 interviews a day. We are really trying to grow and expand. So we have the opportunity to have a lot of people that we get to interview. And I do a lot of that. And then reaching out to people, doing some meetings here and there. And I'm also part of the leadership team here at our office. So trying to figure out where our office wants to go, where our district wants to go within the next 3 to 5 years, all the things that are involved there too. So lots of meetings, and a lot of people might be like, oh my gosh, that sounds awful, but it's actually pretty fun. I never get tired of talking to people.
So most of those meetings, Jordan, are they on the phone? Are you actually going to meet people in person? Are you doing on-campus recruiting at job fairs and things like that?
Yeah, it's going to be a mix of the bunch. I would say, especially in the university life, there's certainly those hot months or those hot times of the year where the students are going to be like, I'm looking for a new job, or I'm looking for an internship, or during those career fairs. So we're definitely going to be on campus. I always invite people into my office. I'm never going to shy away from having that conversation with them face to face. That's what I'd prefer. But also sometimes I just go out and buy them coffee or buy them lunch and say, hey, you know what? Instead of just coming into the office and doing a really formal interview, let's just go out to lunch. Let's just get to know each other and kind of see if what we have here lines up with what they want, and kind of see if we can explore the next steps in the process.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of T4C. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching services for confused college students and recent grads, feel free to check out the Time for Coffee website under the coaching tab at time4coffee.org, or text me at 202-236-5712. That's 202-236-5712.